Hey, so my husband and I, we have coffee together every morning. Do you guys do that with your partner? We enjoy it, and then sometimes it gets spirited. So recently we had a conversation when my husband exclaimed, "Would you quit bossing me around?" To which I replied, "Well, if you just do what I say, I will." Here you go. I'm throwing out the metaphorical welcome mat for you so you can cross the threshold of this podcast feeling the warm glow that is me greeting you. I'm so happy you're tuning in to Bangs and Botox, Women Who Wear Aging Well. I'm Diane Dean-Epps, the host of this anthem to inspiration that I really do hope does inspire you. I'm an author of 7 books and counting. Well, there's a few more. I call those drawer books. I think everybody who didn't get them published calls them drawer books. So 7 and counting. The latest being Bangs and Botox, my aging journey into, through, and beyond denial, fillers, and human preservatives. It is available on Amazon, Kindle form, and print. A comedian is what I go by as part of my branding. I have done stand-up comedy in my past, and Lord help me, people were hitting record, and so I'm afraid those will surface someday. Listen, there is no tougher gig than stand-up comedy. So just to round out the whole package of me, I'm also a teacher, media maven, and Mimi and Mama to the second power. Just a quick little shout out, as is my way, to my male listeners. And you're out there, I know, because we've talked. This podcast is for you too. So why is women in the name, you might ask? Well, because it's from the perspective of this woman. So it naturally addresses what may be classified as female topics like yes, the menopause, and in the physical aspects of inhabiting a female body. And we're celebrating women. Yay, women. My not so hidden agenda is I'm all about connection. So I believe we're all connected by our shared experiences. Bangs and Botox isn't just about aging. It's about owning it, laughing at it, and maybe oversharing a little too much. And Bangs and Botox has now been out in the wild for 7-8 months now, and I'm still going, and I have a lot to say, which is, amazing because it's not one of those podcasts by those famous people. So here we are. This All Diane Channel show promises to make you laugh out loud at least once, chuckle at least twice, and smile, 3 or more times. Here's hoping. I'm a woman with a big voice, big ideas, and lots to say, as I mentioned, about what I believe, though, is our shared experience. This is what you're going through. This podcast is about many things: empowerment, freedom, laughing at the silly everyday occurrences in life. And it's about encouraging you to own your space and your place in the world. It's a huge slice of wonderful to be with you here today for our comedy clatch that I refer to as sit-down stand-up. When last we met up, auditorially speaking, I don't really know if that's a word, but it is now, I waxed philosophical, gushed, and hit my flow talking about my much adored Grand Twinkies. This encompassed the theme of unconditional love, which is a super big fave of mine, and maybe yours. But today, I'm going to bring you into my what's up with you now, you being me, world by sharing a body structural challenge I'm having. This particular show is a real write and talk about what you know. I seem to like to frame everything in song titles lately, so in answer to that favorite song of mine from Tower of Power, "What is hip?" I'd answer, my hip, so sore and unmoving is what is hip. It's the other kind of hip. In the blink of an eye, I've gone from answering the question, so totally, what's your major in college days, to my who's your orthopedic surgeon years. Nothing reminds you you're aging so much as when a body part is on its last gasp. If dogs can bark, as in these dogs are barking referring to feet, then my hip is howling. Ow! You know, the thing that is, I have great affection for my trick hip as I take into calling it. I was so hopeful that it was just normal to feel this way. You know how you keep hitting a bottle of lotion after turning it upside down to get all the lotion out of the bottle? Yeah, so the equivalent of that is what I've been doing with my hip joint for about 4 years. So for metaphorical purposes, I'll say there's no more lotion in my bottle. So for the sake of clarity here as to what's going on, my labral hip tear, doesn't that kind of sound naughty? Do you have a labral hip tear? I hope not. It has rendered my hip joint completely done. Well, maybe undone would be more accurate. It's out of joint juice, 0 to 1% go power. And on some days, I believe it's in the negatives, which means I gotta get out of this joint. More on that in a bit. But first, a bit of where to find me and my writing. Bangs and Botox is distributed free by a number of providers, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and they're all listed on my website at Dean-Epps.com. There you'll find loads of goodies, including the Bangs and Botox podcast tab. I distribute a Ms. Right Now newsletter on LinkedIn, along with hosting a Bangs and Botox company page on LinkedIn also, just in case you hang out in that particular space. So reach out to me and let's connect. I've got a myriad of humor columns out there, so if you're bored, just tap my name into your favorite search engine and voila, things to read that, they might amuse you. All right, so listen. My hips and I have had good times together. What stories we could tell and not tell. But be that as it may, recently I had to face the facts because aging hips don't lie, which I mentioned before probably when I'd shared that I'd finally gotten an MRI, and I think that was in my Grand Twinkies episode. Lest I hadn't been educated enough by my x-rays, boy, that MRI really finished the job with notations like chronic degenerative superior labral tear with maceration and chronic hip joint effusion. I usually equate effusion kinds of words like effusive, like excitement. Nope, opposite. This was all on my permanent record, as it were. Much like the fact that I was on academic probation in college for 1 semester. Oh, but what a semester it was. Well, but anyway, I digress. So I used my friend Dr. Chat GPT just to double check how bad this really was. Well, while Dr. Chat GPT wasn't classifying this situation as an emergency, nor, as it turns out, was my real doctor doing the same thing. No emergency here. The bottom line is that no one is going to say to me, April Fools, just kidding, everything looks good. Pending access to a time machine. I need surgery. So my hip and I, we have to end our relationship. And about that hip, I don't like to say I have a bad hip. It's a good hip. Oh, but it's tired. And you know what? I'm tired. Who knew how exhausting it would be to manage your pain and compensate for a no mobility hip? I'm going to answer that for you. It's exhausting and feels like I'm carrying around kettlebells, like 50-pound kettlebells every day. And I'll be going into that one more time when I share my list of you on how I came to the conclusion that I need some help on this one. And then, you're affected. It's weird. So I'm shorter right now because the left side, depending upon whether you talk to physical therapist or a real doctor. I'm a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch shorter. And for Pete's sake, the whole shrinking and then you go to weigh yourself, which I get so funny about it. Now I step on there with like big shoes and my purse, and I go ahead. So here I am. I'm on the cancellation list for surgery. So I'm gobbling stress tabs, like M&Ms. M&Ms. And then ibuprofen. Oh my gosh, love them 600s. Thank you, thank you. So as a little bit of a content twist on the usual story format I share with you, where I tell you a story with something that is completely different than what I'm going to do today, I actually have more of a cautionary tale because I've waited just a skosh too long to address this issue. What follows includes my hip stages of acceptance, the road to replacement, followed by a list about how I knew that it was finally time. And it's called, I've got to get out of this joint. Here's the deal. If unfathomable optimism, bold makeup, and strong denial could ward off a surgery replacing my body parts, then I'd be golden. I can tell you from experience, none of these made a hill of beans difference to my aging hips don't lie left hip. It all began simply and benignly enough. It started with a pinch, followed by a little twinge, and then there was a very subtle popping sound. And, that was okay because for years I'd had this temporary hitch in my giddy up that a swift little hi-ya flick of my left hip would make everything feel right again. Well, I didn't realize at the time that this was the harbinger of equipment beginning not to work efficiently. My bid to keep all my original body parts was nearing the end. This is kind of how it's gone for me. I started with denial. Oh, heck no, I don't need no stinking surgery. I will keep all my original body parts as God is my witness. Imagine an aging Scarlett O'Hara wailing as she stands on the decrepit Tara estate front porch. Yeah, should I stay or should I go? I think that I knew, but that's what started with the wonderful denial. Next was, anger. Look at all those people with functioning hips. Grr, their beautiful, well-timed, confident, whacking strides. Oh my Lord, is that someone running fast? And now, are they skating? Well, good for them. Whatever. My friends at the gym are enjoying their classes. Well, good for you, you not in pain, fully functioning body parts, active seniors. Yes, it had to happen. I then entered bargaining. I looked at my hip and I said, listen, babe, if you work with me for one more year, then I will have the surgery we both know I need per the MRI we just got. Window of activity is getting smaller and smaller, I tell myself. That's okay. You can still dance and, you get out of bed on your own. You don't need a walker. Then my next stage was depression. Why can't I just focus on the body parts that do work? Isn't that enough? Instead of noticing the beautiful day, embracing my incredible health, otherwise I'm very healthy, I'm assessing every human being I see based on mobility, and I've got some extreme envy when I observe unfettered gait. Gah! I don't like this. As has to happen, acceptance arrives. One very enlightening morning, my hip wouldn't go. She was done. Thank you for your service. And so I have a list for you that's actually expanded, and some of it might be a little bit repetitive of some of the things I've mentioned about things that point to the fact that it's time for me to get some new hip parts. Now, you might have some body parts that are problematic. So, just insert what's going on with you. I now have a task window that's based on how long I can balance on one side. And, it's within the seconds, headed toward a minute, depends on whether I'm hanging on to something. So for me, this means as a shower devotee who is also a leg shaving devotee, I must plan ahead for my shaving session doing some upper body weight training. I knew it was finally time when I was in so much pain that I thought I would run to the orthopedic surgeon right now, if I could run. Oh, the next one, I knew it was time because I was trying to finesse my limp. It would come and go, mostly now it's here to stay. And I'm trying to finesse it into a stylish little shuffle ball change, but I'm not fooling anyone, least of all myself. The next way I knew, getting into and out of the car is a bona fide aerobic activity. Oh, wow. And then building upon that, my tuckered out pain delivering hip is something I think about every day. Talk about top of the mind awareness gone horribly wrong. And I mean, it is not even like I'm thinking about anything else. Like I love dance choreography or, even knitting or what my friends are up to. And goodness, let's put my family in there. It's all about the hip. Oh boy, a big way that I know is when I drop an item, I scream pitifully, "Oh no!" And it sounds like I just found out I've been the victim of identity theft because I'm just, it's way down there. Oh, next up, stairs. Oh, I usually love stairs. Yay, stairs. But now they all look like the Lincoln Memorial to me because they're daunting. I end up having to do this zombie right-legged limp with a high knee up the stairs. It's ghastly is what it is. And the last thing I noticed, I mentioned kettlebells. It really is amazing to me that when you have a non-functioning hip joint, it now is feeling like I have to lift that side of my body versus just moving it. And then the hip gets worked into all the conversations, even when I tell myself I'm not going to talk about it. I just went to the nursery to pick up plants because that's something that I can do. I can do some gardening. And I got into this conversation that was so interesting. The nursery guy said to me, okay, so, you're ready to ring that up, right? And I said, yeah, and I'm going to need help because I'm learning to ask for help. And then he asked me what my birthday was. And then I thought, oh, here we come. And then what the sign was, right? And he said, oh, yes, Scorpio. Scorpios don't like to ask for help. And I replied, yeah, well, I don't need help. I'm just asking for it. So, that seemed to be kind of funny to him. And, whatever I can do to lift myself up and others. The problem is when I finally came to the conclusion everyone else around me had already come to, particularly my family members, that I needed to schedule hip replacement surgery due to the pain and now the zero hip mobility. My hip, that didn't really coincide with the surgeon's schedule because when it snap, crackle, popped for the last time, it wasn't exactly within the time frame of when the surgeon was taking people to onto his calendar. So now I'm on the cancellation list. And so I wait, sitting at the pre-op starting line, trying to manage that intriguing, and is it intriguing? Interesting? No. Fun? No. Necessary? There we go. Necessary balance that is, I need enough activity. I got to stay strong, but not so much that it sends me into full-on pain mode. So that means I have to get okay with uncertainty. And I'm focused on all the things I can do versus limitations. So just a quick note here that I talk about other body parts in my book, Bangs and Botox, because it's, we're just at that point where maybe these things are coming up. Although I got to tell you, one of my least favorite comments that I get is when someone says to me when I have to, share, I'm not doing my class right now, my dance class, and I can't work out. And they'll say, well, we're getting older, and it doesn't help. And, I have a mirror. I have several. So, I know I'm aging. So, well, anyway, I have a new segment that I'd like to introduce to you, and it's called Songs You'll Be Humming. Every show from now on, I'm going to have a list of episode-themed songs you can access via Spotify. All you need to do is just look in the episode description that you see below, and you'll see I've hyperlinked this list for you. P.S. This podcast is also hosted on Spotify. So in that way, it can be a one-stop shop. On this go-round, I've got songs with hip in the title. Enjoy. The full list has 14 songs, all different styles: rock, Bollywood, rap, funk, hip-hop, rockabilly. I was chair dancing because that's all I can do, but I was chair dancing. It runs the gamut, baby. Well, here's the short list. 2 classics, of course, are in there. Hip to Be Square by Huey Lewis and the News. And What Is Hip? I mentioned Tower Power earlier. But then, dang, I discovered quite the treasure trove of tunes. One of which is called, crazily, Hip Replacement. And it's by the brother and sister-led band Lawrence. It's so amazing. Dance to your heart's content, y'all, and dance like everyone is watching all the time. Now I've got a little something else for you. It is called The Somethings. Something I'm doing. Watching grass grow. Yes, but then as I mentioned, I managed to figure out how to garden modified, like with minimal bending and no lifting. But it has lifted my spirits, let me tell you. So another one, you might say I'm on a tear now, not just the hip tear I have, but a writing tear. It is just pouring out of me. Because while I'm waiting to be called into a surgical suite, my usual coping mechanism of working out is not something I can do right now. So writing and humor is benefiting me greatly. I've been posting oodles of content on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, some of which I call fast funnies. And I'm really enjoying designing graphics. It's just sort of doing it for me. So thank goodness. The next thing I'm doing, hey, we all got to have goals, right? Usually I have fitness goals. Here's mine. I am working my way through the Chick-fil-A menu because it's right next to the medical complex where I'm spending my time these days. Sidebar. I used to drive my daughter nuts because I could not, for the life of me, seem to get the syntax of Chick-fil-A. I'd have it Chick-a-filet. I was mispronouncing it. My version, Chick-a-Phil. It was a real twist on misplacing the modifier with me saying the A in random order. Now, I have a big shout out here to the Chick-fil-A staff. Boy, am I making a bid for sponsorship? Nah, I'm just talking about a good deed. So yesterday I was experiencing the joy sparked by chatting with them. I love the staffers there. The team is so cool. While I'm being handed my delicious food, when I decided to expand into ranch territory. No, I didn't buy any property. I wanted ranch sauce for my waffle fries. See where the goals are? I know, it's a low bar and I can't even limbo under it right now. Anyway, off I went with my bag of yumminess and my hibiscus-infused strawberry Sprite Yum Yum, and I'm cheerily driving, anticipating my luscious banquet, when I caught sight in my peripheral vision of like this white blur. And as I swiveled around to look, I noticed a young guy sprinting. And because of my current physical state, I thought, wow, look at his speed, his agility. And then I realized he was running after me. So I hit the brakes. No one was behind me. And he jogged over, apologizing profusely that they had forgotten to put my ranch sauce in my bag. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's customer service. And of course, the next thing I'm doing, I am gardening, light gardening, and I get to be in my greenhouse. It's my place of joy, and my yard. It's lovely, and the puppies out there having fun, digging up everything. These are happy places that I am now figuring out how to navigate. So Translation, it can hurt like a mofo if I bend, straighten, or move or walk much, but I'm figuring out where the limitations are and I'm just listening to my body. Something I'm buying. Well, I'm going to tell you, I've gotten superficial. Gotten superficial, you might ask me? Right. I'm still superficial. Anything pretty, shiny, and able to capture my attention, even for a moment, and inspire bliss or spark joy. That's for me, and I'm buying it. So that means sparkly eyeshadow and brightly hued nail polish figures in big time. And you know what else? For some reason, I know they're hot pink. I'm buying things that have flamingos on them. Like I have a solar bird bath that I just purchased. Oh man, it is so cute. And then one of those stick flamingo things with sunglasses. It makes me happy. So I bought them all. Something I'm watching. Deadlock is wonderful. It's on Amazon Prime. It's got 3 Kates. Kate Box stars in it with Madeline Sammy. And then there's writers Kate McLennan and Kate McCartney. Those are great writers. You ever see a show with their names on it? It's just snappy and super funny. And it's the town of Deadlock in Tasmania. I know, really. It's preparing for its winter festival when a local man turns up dead. And the detectives are investigating the crimes. And it is so fun. So check it out. Strays on Peacock is also fun. Do you sense a theme? I'm trying to watch fun things because, keeps the stage of depression from returning, although it still happens. And so Animal Control is a good one too. It's on Hulu and Netflix with Joel McHale. He's awesome. And it's all fun stuff. And we all need that, don't we? We all need to laugh right now, not just me. So before I yodel out, that's a wrap. Let's get to our closing essential questions, which I love this part, and I hope you do too. The theme is getting okay with uncertainty. And as you might imagine, there are oodles of quotes out there that are so spot on, filled with inspiration as they are. So like, when nothing is sure, everything is possible. And that's by Margaret Drabble. And then fear is often our immediate response to uncertainty. There's nothing wrong with experiencing fear. The key is to not get stuck in it. And that's by Gabrielle Bernstein. And I love the promise of this one. Uncertainty is where things happen. It is where the opportunities for success, for happiness, for really living are waiting, by Oliver Bergerman. One of the great things about a podcast is you can roll back the tape, as it were. So maybe make a note where we are time-wise in this podcast, 28 going till 01, so that you can, come back to these quotes and see if you need a little lift. Here are my essential questions for you. Where are you feeling uncertainty in your life? Can you let go of the outcome? Where do the opportunities lie for growth, for learning, for new ways of doing and thinking? All right, that is a wrap this week, dear listeners. Our experience is a shared one. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to connect. Whether it's in person, via the airwaves, or the written word, it's all powerful in creating community. You'll find me wherever fine social media channels exist. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and I'm on Medium. All of these being places where I can be located under my name and alter egos of like Ms. Right, Ms. Right Now, author, and Ms. Right Now without the author. And of course, my Bangs and Botox brand, which is something that I've created, and I've got lots of goodies that are floating around out there. Look me up. Let's connect. Remember to embrace bold, lovable, authentic, caring, and beautiful you. Until our next Bangs and Botox, Women Who Wear Aging Well Comedy Clatch podcast, friends.